This is INCRadio DCE, or the Voice of Truth, official radio station of the Church of Christ, or Iglesianicristo.
Continue to submit your greetings, and we'll be sure to read them on the show. Back to you.
That's it for the weather
And
update.
moving on to our district news update.
Only here
on INCRadio States.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to another episode of INCRadio States. For this afternoon, Sister Macy, and I would like to say thank you and give a shout out to our INCRadio crew and also all watching and listening us. If you're in Mountain States, good afternoon to you. And for our brethren that are watching from the Philippines, maganda umaga. I'm sure it's early morning there in the Philippines, and we appreciate it. You connect with us. Please, if you're live right now, to join your live chat, and please put your hashtag local congregation, because we want to know where you are coming from all over the world. And if you have so, please hit like and subscribe so you're updated with the shows on INCRadio DZM 954. Take out balancing school and life, how we can see the end of the semester for a lot of students right now, coming up, whether it's this week or next week. So we want to check in with the youth members inside the Church of Christ on how they're busy schedules with their success at school as well, and whatever thing accomplish when it comes to their education. As we know, we have to prepare our youth to go on their winter break, which I'm sure they're very excited about. But joy, they have to end this semester strong by balancing activities. That way, we can shift our focus and our energy on the right tasks without having burnout. So we're going to look at very special students this afternoon so that we can get their take when it comes to work-life balance, whether it's in the school life. So I would like to introduce to you our this afternoon. Let's start with our very from the local of Blue Diamond. We have a Bridget. Hi, Sister Bridget.
Hello, everyone. Hi, sister. Thank you for having me.
And Bridget, it's not your first. You maybe have not met you yet. Can you just please give a brief introduction of yourself, your duties, and what grade you are in? Go ahead.
So I'm Sister Bridget. I'm from the local congregation of Blue Diamond District from Mountain States, performing as the Binhi president. So District Binhi president. I'm in school, but I go to an early college. So all my classes are on the college campus, and
Thank you, Sister Bridget. Very smart and very active sister here in the District of Mountain States. So we will learn later on. We also have from the local of Las Vegas, Sister Bea. Hi, sister.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here, Natalia Tan. I'm currently in my gap or my postgrad year. I graduated in May with a bachelor's in neuroscience, a specialty in pre-medicine, and so I'm a core member and a CMDPS member. And did I mention Las Vegas? Las Vegas strong.
Go Las Vegas. Sister Bea, and we will also know more about her and hear more about her. So we have two expert students, right? Because for someone like us that are low, we have forgotten a lot about going to already, or all these with this our youth members, and give them some great or great input when balancing your school with the actual lifestyle that you want to have. Before on a quick station break, when we return, we will discuss all of these wonderful topics regarding balancing school and life. We will.
Your Spotify playlist just got more exciting and inspiring. INC original music is now on Spotify. Songs about our faith and love, songs for our family and friends, songs full of hope, songs that keep us going. Add them all up to your favorite Spotify playlist. You can explore uplifting INC original music in a variety of styles and genres. Share your INC original music playlist to your friends. It's now even easier to share our faith and much easier to uplift ourselves and others through Christian music. INC original music now available on Spotify.
Ready to discover your new favorite INC original music? Introducing Playlist. Tune in every Monday to Friday from 9 to 10 p.m. for a musical journey like no other. Genres like R&B, acoustic, alternative, love songs, rock, pop, hip-hop, and rap. Each day brings you a different genre of INC original music tailored to match your mood. Looking for the perfect soundtrack to your day? We've got you covered. Join our hosts as they bring you the freshest hits, timeless classics, and everything in between. Catch Playlist live on INCRadio DZM 954 kHz, on the INCRadio YouTube channel, and on the INC Production Company's Facebook page. Set your reminders, spread the word, and don't miss a bit with Playlist. And remember, it's your music, your playlist. See you there!
We're down to the last batch of aspiring choirs. Before we head to the finals of Isang Pinig, Isang Himig, INC Radio Choral Competition, let's check out the contestants from Mindanao this Sunday, December 14, 1 to 2 p.m. Only on INC Radio.
You are listening to Iglesianicristo Radio, the voice of truth.
And we are back. You are still tuned in to INC Radio Mountain States. Thank you for sticking out with us. Like I said, it's all about school balance, balancing our life and also our school life this afternoon. So we have two very special guests, both expert students here at the District of Mountain States. So we're going to get started in our discussion here. I'm going to start with Sister Bea since, she already has her bachelor's degree, recently graduated. During your time when you're going to school, of course, college is a little bit more on the serious side of things, right? You need to get things done. What were the challenges that you normally encounter in your daily college life?
Thank you for that question, Sister Macy. So I would like to start with the fact that I had to move to another city, Reno, in Nevada. That's up in the northern part of Nevada. And this was some place that was very small, but also very big at the same time. And so going into college, they call me what they would like the term of first generation. And so technically, I'm the first in my family to um, take part or attend university in the United States. And so having that kind of, new gaze and like going into like living into a new city, I had to learn how to be an adult, which was very hard. I remember calling my mom on FaceTime, asking her what the certain detergents were
Oh,
for separating. It was like very, it was new, it was a struggle, but I think that, it was it was not just school, it had to be also taking care of myself. And so making sure that I eat on time, making sure that I wake up, and then some time for me to walk to campus. And then I had to make sure that I, put gas in my car, or else, like, I won't be able to go to church. And so there's those like really tiny things that a lot of adults do nowadays, that when you're a high school student coming into college, you don't really notice that. So I think it's those like really hard life skills that I had to kind of learn on the go. But I really liked it just because it got me exposure to a lot more things to learn about, like posting mail, like sending mail. I haven't done that in a long time when I was like a little kid. And so I remember asking the really nice person at the USPS store. I was like, hey, like, can you help me with this? I'm not sure what to do. So that was like one of those biggest struggles, was taking care of myself while also making sure that I have enough time to study.
So you're
Uh,
basically learning life as
mhm,
you are also learning in college, with the course of study
yes.
that you have picked. That is definitely challenging. And at the same time, too, you are away from your family for the first time. So how are you able to balance that, to now you're far away, but of course you still have a relationship with your entire family that is very, very important. But how did you manage to make time for them while being away and at the same time, focusing on your studies too?
I took advantage of my time whenever I was driving, like a long commute or walking. Sometimes I'll have like downtime after studying to like have that 10-minute break or 20-minute break to call my mom or my dad. I think my mom was pretty annoyed when I kept on calling her while I was walking to school. It was like first thing in the morning, and she's like, I'm still sleeping, Anak. I'm sorry. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Mom. I just want to call you.
Yeah.
Um, but it really did make a difference, because whenever I was walking, it's like an uphill walk sometimes from my campus going to my apartment, and it gets lonely. And so I really appreciated that whenever my mom or my dad answered the call, like I was always talking into them and getting an update. As for my siblings, I would always like FaceTime them whenever I could as well. And then my last 2 years of college vastly joined me, and so I was able to attend college with my brother.
Yeah,
So it was
at
really
least you have
exciting.
another family member that's with you
Mhm.
there. Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sharing that insight, Sister Bea. How about for Sister Bridget? A little different here. You're still in high school while taking college credits, of course. What are the challenges that you experience on the regular being a senior in high school?
So I don't really have an actual high school experience, so um most of my schedule does go to church and school and work. For church, I have other duties like choir,
Mhm.
CWS. I also just recently joined DCBI. So really for me it's trying to pick myself up when I have no energy, because having multiple responsibilities in one day, like a 7-hour shift and then having a meeting right after, it really drained me, but um it does feel really fulfilling and rewarding whenever you do see yourself having more progress towards your own goals.
Mhm.
And of course, performing my duties always makes me feel very fulfilled.
Actually, that's a good point that you made, Sister Bridget. You juggle many things, duties, and then your school. But at school, you know that you have to stay focused, right? Because it is studying. They're giving you a lot of information. So how do you pick yourself up to have that energy to do all those other things on the side, and then at the same time still stay focused in studying?
Mm, so I try to use my gaps in between like school and work. So for example, if I have a lecture at 8 a.m. and then I have work at 1 p.m., I use the hours in between, which is at least like 3 hours to study. I also use I use my resources. So there are websites that turn your notes into podcasts. So I've been using that. um, it's been helping me a lot, especially when I'm at work and it's slow. I just like put my earbud in and I start studying that way.
Wait, there are apps like that where whatever notes you had from school, they'll record it for you, and then you can just like same as INCRadio, you just listen to it. Did you use something like that, Sister Bea, during college?
Yes, it's so wonderful. I wish that it appeared when I was a freshman in college, but I believe like this recent last year when I was in university, I had to record my lecture and then it was able to convert it into PowerPoint notes or flashcards. And it was so useful and effective because it saved me time and I'm pretty sure with Sister Bridget, like it saved her time too.
That's great. Okay, so for all of our viewers right now in the team live chat, I think this is a good takeaway from this discussion right now. I mean, for me, this is something new. I never knew that there is a technology now that turns your notes into podcasts or turns your lecture into a PowerPoint. Like that is, if I had that when I was going to school, I would have probably saved a lot of my personal time. But we're talking about balancing school and life here, and this is a great point. Using the available technology so that it does a little bit more of the not the actual work for you, but like the tools to help you to work on it, which in return gives you a lot more time, personal for your personal time or for your health, for taking a rest and taking a break. That's great for our team live chat. If you're interested in whatever apps that they're using, connect with us. Let us know, and we'll be sure that Sister Bridget and Sister Bea can share those with you because I think those are great. I mean, there's AI as well right now helps, right, when it comes to just don't rely on it too much, because we don't want our own thinking to diminish. We always want to practice our brains, but in simple tools, summarizations and interpreting certain things, and maybe we can utilize AI so we can have more time to ourselves. But that's really a great point. Thank you for that. Speaking of juggling many things, let's talk about priorities. What are your steps in prioritizing things in your life? Because it's inevitable. We don't live with just one goal in mind. Sister Bridget mentioned this earlier. There's many goals. Even Sister Bea mentioned. There's also the family. There's also all other things that you need to juggle. What's your formula for prioritizing these things to make sure all aspects of your life are balanced? Sister Bea.
That is a very interesting question, Sister Macy. And I wouldn't say that I have a formula, but I always make sure that God is placed first. So I make sure that I know which worship service I'm attending that week. Maybe if I have an 8 a.m. lecture, I'm gonna attend the 8 p.m. worship service. Um, when it comes to like course scheduling, I always make sure that my courses are evolved around worship service times, and that I allot enough time just to make sure that I can make it there. As for long-term goals and short-term goals, long-term goals are usually like, um, sometimes I have a game plan for that. I make sure that I have a list of things I need to accomplish, but I always have a little reminder that, the quote saying Rome wasn't built in a day. And so I kind of, you take that into account, but also that small things make progress. And so it could be maybe finishing this like little reading that I need to do for that long-term goal. Then I'll go ahead and do that for the day, and the next day maybe I'll take a break. And then as for the short-term goals, like maybe assignments, I had this mentality even starting in high school. I'm not sure if Sister Bridget also does this too, but sometimes those small assignments can be overwhelming. So I go ahead and do it right away if I can. That way I don't need to think about it on the due date itself. I do have those moments where it is 11:50 p.m. and I'm trying to submit something, but I try to avoid that because the anxiety and the nausea that I feel whenever that happens is so overwhelming that I try to avoid it at all costs. But you, I want to say that you make a game plan for your day and you continue to do so, but not overwhelm yourself too much.
I agree, and I like that at least you actually divide your goals into the long term and the short term, right? And I wanted to ask Sister Bridget this too, because there are times I want to know your style, because there are those who say that, like what Sister Bea said, when it comes to the urgency of things, she would look at the smallest task, that can be easily done, finish it now, and then that way the rest of the time you can spend on the harder tasks. But there are people too that they start with the harder tasks first, so then they can get them out of the way. And then towards the end of the day, it's just the small tasks that are easy. What's your style, Sister Bridget?
I think I relate to Sister Bea a lot, but I try to get all my harder things done because I never know how my schedule can change. So, for example, oh, someone called off work and I need to be at work, then um, at least my assignment's already done and I don't have to worry about it towards the end of the day because um, I'm exhausted after work. Um, yeah, I always try to schedule my days around church, and I try to prioritize studying as well because my part-time job does help me, but in the end, school will always be the thing that most likely decides my future. So,
The school is like your long-term goal, if we're gonna speak a Sister Bea's language here, and then work is your short-term, because it's something that you want to have at the moment. But for the both of you, I really love, when you say that Sister Bea said, well, I prioritize everything that's for God, that always comes first. And then Sister Bridget is like, my schedule really revolves around, what my schedule at church is. I think that is a very admirable, that kind of purpose is not something that is seen in a lot of people your age nowadays. They tend to be more focused on other things in life. And so it's very admirable that you are at that point where you can say that, yes, I know my priority and I know what can wait for later. I know, what I can do first. And that's a very big part when it comes to balancing um, all the aspects of our lives, not just school and life, but all aspects of our lives. Okay, at this point, we are going to show you a quick life hack video, because part of also balancing our life is making sure that we have the time for relaxation and for rest. So we are going to show you this video on how you can remake these aromatherapy candles, for your own relaxation. When you're studying, they say burning the midnight oil, right? Maybe while you're studying, you have that so that you have the smells, you can memorize better. Well, our very own Sister Ina for INCRadio Mountain States Life Hacks has a quick video for us to show us how we can recycle these aroma candles, or these relaxation candles that we use in our homes. And then maybe you can use these as you take a break and relax in between school, work, and just your life in general. So here's MTS Life Hacks. Stay tuned with us, and I hope you enjoy this video.
Welcome to another Hacks from Life Hacks. Today I will show you how to save money, super less costs, almost nothing to spend, make use of a used item, and most of all, to have fun with such a rewarding feeling. So, let's get started. I have collected so much of these used wax candles to eliminate odor in my house whenever I cook. These wax were melted already and just left a tiny bit of smell. So, instead of throwing them away, which I used to do, I came up with an idea to remake a candle using another recyclable item, which is candle containers. These are the items that I need on my slow step candle making. Used wax candles, candle containers, candle wick, candle melting pot, or candle warmer. What I do is whenever I melt scented wax cubes and the scent is gone, I pour it into the empty candle container to be reused as another candle. At the same time, those used wax cubes can be cut into pieces and just simply add them into the container. I also simply melt the leftover candle from a container that cannot be lightened anymore because the candle wick is totally gone. Then, what I have to do is just to pour them all in one container to remake a recyclable candle. Next, I'll show you another faster trick on how to remake a candle. I prepared some cute small container that can be shared as a gift or simply a decoration in our house. Same thing, all you need is candle containers, long spoon for stirring, food coloring as desired, double-sided tape, candle wick, big pot with water, stove or burner, stainless steel, candle wax melting pot. Boil the water from a pot, then put the candle melting pot into it. Add the used candle waxes and stir them to melt. Stir, 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 stir. Make sure to also not to touch the pot because of the heat of it, and if possible, wear rubber gloves while making it. Make sure to never leave this activity unattended, especially if you have kids or pets around, to avoid accidents. You can also add desired scented oils into your recyclable candles to give some aroma and coloring for fun. Make sure to stir the wax nicely. After the wax melted, pour it into the desired container with a candle wick into the middle of the container. Make sure to not touch the pot with bare hands. Use some pot holders or rags to refrain from burning while transferring the melted wax. Make sure to also transfer the wax slowly and nicely. You can also do some creative work by simply adding decorations like plastic, flowers, or leaves, even mixing them with different colors. And just a reminder, this activity is not intended for kids alone. Make sure there's adult supervision if you conduct art activities such as this. There you go. There is no need to throw those old wax candles nor use candle containers. You can help the environment, save money from buying candles, and fun art creation. These can be used for relaxation, freshen up your room, or just to simply act its purpose to shine as light of the house. And that is all for today on our life hacks. See you next time. Bye.
Welcome back. You are still tuned in to INCRadio Mountain States. And of course, we still have Sister Bridget and Sister Bea with us. I hope you like the video, Sister Bridget and Sister Bea. And maybe one of these days we can all make candles, remake candles together. Okay, so save all those old candles that you have lying around at home. So speaking of relaxation, right? We talked about your balancing your school and life earlier, your priorities. But how about taking a break? You know, is that part of the rules for making sure that our lives are balanced? Okay, what is your take on that? Do you think, let me ask a personal question first. Sister Bea, do you think you take enough breaks for your life?
I want to say at the beginning of my stage in university, no. And that's how I was able to get burned out. But now I do because I learned my lesson.
Okay.
And it's really easy to not take breaks, but then I had a great support system that told me like, yeah, like you sound like you need a break or like a nap. And I was like, okay, I'll take a nap.
Burnout, I think, is the key term there. That's why we have to, breaks are important, because if you don't take a break, you'll get to the point where maybe you're burnt out and you just don't want to do anything anymore. That's great that you were able to bounce back from that. How about Sister Bridget? Do you think you take enough breaks in between all your responsibilities?
I think it really depends on what I really need to do. So, for example, finals for me are this week. I've just been studying, haven't been getting that much sleep, but your body will tell you when you need to take a break. So I learned that by like not getting enough sleep, and then the next day you don't retain any information, like nothing pops up into your head on the day of the exam. So I think I have a pretty balanced life. I don't know. I think I try to take enough breaks when I need to, but I also try to make sure all my responsibilities and duties are fulfilled as well.
Thank you for pointing that out. Sleep is also taking a break, brothers and sisters, and sleep is very important. Like what Sister Bridget said, it's very easy for the brain to be fried when you don't have enough sleep, and then you cannot function. So let's not forget about that. I always try to remind myself to get enough sleep, get enough sleep. Sometimes it's not always realistic, but the key word that you mentioned is you try, right? Let's always try to do that. But I want to know, because maybe this can, some of our younger audiences can also relate. Going back to Sister Bea, right, we're talking about breaks here. How do you take a break? Like, how do you reward yourself?
That's an excellent question, Sister Macy. So, as for breaks, I try as much to avoid my phone or like electronics because I believe that my entire day is like off of like staring into a screen. And so during university, I had the privilege of going out to walk on the quad, sitting down, having a picnic with my friends, or sometimes I would just walk around the entire university just to get like a little breeze and notice things that I haven't noticed. Um, but then when it's like late at night and I'm taking a break, I make sure that I listen to good music, eat good food, make sure I call my parents or like my friends, take advantage of the time that I have. Um, yeah, I try to avoid the doom scrolling. That's the term, the doom scroll,
Yes.
as much as possible.
Yes, and it's very easy to fall into that, wherein you pick up your phone, all of a sudden you're spending a full hour just scrolling endlessly without purpose, right? So thank you for saying that, and we need to take a break from the screens too, because that way it's full relaxation and break. So thank you for sharing. How about you, Sister Bridget? How do you take a break?
So Sister Bea said that she doesn't really use her phone, but I do use my phone. She said she also loves music. I love listening to music as well, but I love texting my friends and, telling them about my accomplishments or something I got done in the day because they, like, if I don't feel proud of myself, they'll help me feel proud of myself. So they encourage me to do better or keep going. Other than that, I work at a mall, so before my shift, I buy a chai tea or chai, and apparently it's tea. Um, I love treating myself to a good drink or a snack, and like Sister Bea said, good food. And then I walk around the mall, might buy something, but retail therapy, it's not the best, but it does help me keep going. So
I love that. I love it. You use your extra time to catch up with friends, but at the same time, you said a very important thing there. For motivation, right? Because we need to keep moving, and um, going through our daily with motivation as well. So I'm glad that you're getting that support from your friends. And for both of you, I can relate. Yes, food is also a good break for me. Like you can tell that I've had a great break if I had really good food, snacks that I enjoy. I also love to just pick a cup of coffee or a cup of tea to just get out of the house. I work from home. So you could, why don't you just make coffee at home? I know, I understand, but that doesn't feel like a break for me, if you don't get out of your office or like if you don't like pick up your feet and actually walk and get some sun and go to somewhere other than your usual square box, right? And then grab a cup of coffee. So grabbing a cup of coffee from outside is more than just having others make a cup of coffee for you. There's so much more principle behind it too. So on that part, I can relate with the two of you. Thank you for sharing. So now, another very important thing for balancing our lives is time management. So I'd like to ask you now, because this will help a lot of our younger audience too that are going through school. What are your time management tips? Sister Bridget, let's start with you this time.
So definitely knowing what I need to do before the week starts. So on Sunday, for an example, I utilize my calendar pretty heavily. So my phone calendar tells me everything I need or everything I have for that week. So meetings on Monday, work Monday, lectures, everything like that. And then assignments, due dates. For me as a senior, scholarship due dates, exams whenever those are. So if I need to study for something, I also put my finals or like exams to make sure I don't forget about it and then I'm cramming the day or yeah, the day before an exam.
Okay, so making a list, doing the calendar, those are very good. How about you, Sister Bea? Any time management tips that you can share with our audience?
Yes, I do the same thing with Sister Bridget, where I use my phone calendar, sometimes Google Calendar, as for those who like work in a job, maybe Microsoft Outlook. And I make sure that I use Notion, which is a productivity platform, and I use the same template. And with the template and with Notion, it actually gives you free space to kind of it's a little bit of coding. It's not really coding, but it's kind of coding where I can make an assignment and then put down the days left until that assignment is due.
Oh,
Um,
countdown,
and so
down.
it's like a countdown.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it's very helpful, especially when I see like, the time moving or how many days left until this big assignment is due. So usually around the 3-day mark, that's when I'll start like maybe doing my paper, or like maybe if it's a presentation, I'll do it at the 5-day mark. So that's been very helpful. And I don't have any coding skills whatsoever, but I did watch YouTube videos.
Mhm.
And so if I can learn it, anyone can learn it.
Nice. I love it. And I love how you're mentioning like all these new technology too that our brethren can utilize, because for most people that are probably like within my generation, although we do use technology, but we didn't use it as much as you did during our times at school. So we're not into these helpful tools anymore. So it's nice that we are having these discussion to know that there are these tools that exist to help us. So thank you for sharing that. And what I can tell too, not just to the both of you, but to all of our younger audience that are watching, all these skills that we are discussing right now, that you are talking about and experiencing on a daily and utilizing in order to balance your school life and your actual life, guess what? You are going to also use this in the future when you are in the workplace, or even after your work years are done and you're retiring. All these skills are actually lifelong skills. So I'd love to encourage everyone to continue doing this, whether you're still at school or after school. Keep honing all these skills, the prioritization, the time management skills, the art of taking breaks, because all these things I 100% guarantee you will continue to use throughout your life. Thank you, Sister Bea and Sister Bridget, for sharing these wonderful insights. I feel like I learned a lot from you this afternoon. And I would like to give you just this chance to speak to our younger audience who may be at the stage of their lives where they're going to school, maybe having a hard time balancing it and making sure that they do well in the other aspects of their life plus the school life. Please, if you can just share your quick message of encouragement and motivation to them. Sister Bea.
Hi everyone. I know that during final season, it's a little bit like it's very heavy, especially when it's daylight savings time. You don't have enough sunlight, and a lot of priorities are going to be there in your way, in your face. But I do want to say that whatever you're going through right now, acknowledge it and continue to move on and continue to pray. I think it was very helpful for me to talk to God, especially when it comes to those things that I couldn't say out loud to my friends or I couldn't really write it. And then make sure you talk to your parents a lot more than you should, just because I missed my mom more when I was sick. And that was something that I was like, I didn't want to like cook my own soup, if anything like that. But it's those small things that your parents do for you that really matter. And so everything that I have and I've experienced and I've done, they're all thanks to my parents and also to God. So make sure to do that.
Wonderful, wonderful message. That's so inspiring, Sister Bea. And yes, kids, talk to your parents a lot more and also to our Almighty God a lot more. I think that's going to give us a very healthy life. Sister Bridget, your message of inspiration and motivation to maybe the Binhi, since you're the district Binhi president, and to all of our younger audience watching right now.
Hi everyone. Even to the Binti, I hope you all are watching. I know how stressed all of you may be. I, of course, have been in the same boat. But I always heavily believe in the phrase that when you do your best, God will do the rest. So, prayer was, as Sister Bea also said, it'll always, God will always be there for you throughout everything. um People who are in your lives now won't like always be in your life, but God will always be there for you to watch and help you through everything. So um also, of course, you need to take breaks for yourself. One bad grade does not define who you are as a student or person, so don't take it too heavily because there's always a way to rise back up from that.
Oh, thank you so much. You two are just so inspiring. I admire you both a lot. You have wisdom way beyond your years, and that always like overwhelms and it overjoys me when I see our younger brethren in the Church of Christ having the kind of wisdom that you do. So keep doing what you do, and thank you for sharing this wonderful wisdom to INC Radio Mountain States. I know that a lot of our team live chat and our live audience have learned from this. We can't wait to see your comments and your messages for later. But for now, we would like to just leave you with these few words that balancing school and life is not always easy, but we don't have to do it alone. When we feel stressed, tired, or unsure of what to do first, we can always turn to our Almighty God for strength and guidance, just like what Sister Bea and Sister Bridget had told us today. It will help us focus on the right tasks, give us peace during busy days, remind us to rest when we need it. By trusting God and putting Him first in our lives, planning wisely, and taking care of ourselves, we can find balance and avoid burnout, which we already discussed earlier. With God's help, we can grow, learn, and live with a calm and hopeful heart. And don't worry, brothers and sisters, winter break is coming. Just hang in there a little bit longer. And then after that, you are going to have an amazing 2 weeks, right? At least a couple of weeks, for some 3 weeks to a month of break so that you can de-stress, you can rest, relax, and re-energize yourself for the next semester. Thank you once again for joining us on this show. Next week, Tune in again, same day, same time, Saturday, 3 p.m. Pacific, and Saturday, 4 p.m. Mountain Time. And in the Philippines, Sunday, 7 a.m. in the morning for another episode of INC Radio Mountain States. Before we end the show, we would like to say thank you to our dear Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, for providing us this platform to connect with brethren from all over the world. Thank you as well to Brother Angelo Aranyo Manalo, our Deputy Executive Minister, to our District Minister, Brother Barrington Thompson, and our Assistant District Minister, Brother Oliver Canlas. Thank you so much to our Executive Producer, Kuya Manly Andaya, and to our CFO Overseer, Brother Jay Agustin. We appreciate all the support that you give to us for INC Radio Mountain States. Also, thank you to the entire district multimedia crew, and of course, you, the avid listeners and viewers of INC Radio Mountain States. That is all the time we have for today. I hope you can tune in next week and stay tuned. Always watch the shows on INC Radio DZM 954, Changing Lives Through God's Words. Up next is INC Radio Canada. Bye.